Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. On late August, Missouri Southern State University honored Dr. Julio and Leon with the new Health Science Center on campus, naming of the building. And today I'm honored to visit with him and his wife VIvian. Thank you both for being here today and visiting while you're on campus.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
And Dr. Leon, people are probably curious about your feelings about having the honor of having a building dedicated in your honor.
Well, it's hard to describe, obviously, because as I said during the ceremony, it took almost 12 years to get this building from conception and planning and design all the way up to getting the funding and finally building it and making it ready for occupancy. 12 years, that's the average that it takes to get a building funded at a public institution, and then to know that the Board of Governors have decided to name it after you. It's just a great honor. Very excited and proud to be the recipient of this honor.
12 years ago, you saw a need that the future was looking for health care demand. So
Yeah.
this is one of those things that really met the needs of the community in the region.
There is no question about it. And when you think that Joplin, the Joplin and Carthage area is the medical center for the region, primarily in the Oklahoma, Arkansas, Southeast Kansas area. Obviously, this is a great facility to have and to bring these programs together under one roof.
And you were able to tour the facility, both of you, today as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
What were your feelings, your impressions of the type of facility and the equipment the students were able to use?
Wow.
Wow.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
A lot of modern technology, which is important. Everything is changing, you
Right.
know, the computers and technology is changing so many different jobs, and you have to have these type of facilities in order to prepare the students for what they're going to find in the job market. So this is very important.
So meeting Missouri Southern's ongoing goal of having the best prepared students to work in the workforce.
For sure.
Yeah.
Of course, the dedication of the building tied into another fundraising. I know you had other dedications you attended today. A lot of supporters who came out in other ways to help support Missouri Southern.
It's fantastic to see that all of these friends continue to support the university, and they want to be associated with it, and the university is very wise in recognizing their efforts and naming some facilities after them. I think is great.
You mentioned community support, and I know that you had ties in the Joplin community for many years. It was kind of a reunion to come back and see the people again today that you've known throughout the years.
Oh, that was wonderful. We saw so many friends that we haven't seen in a while, and just feel very warm and very touched, really, they take the time.
And I know back in April they had a special dinner for you with the community when they made the announcement about this funding and so forth. So just people might be curious, how did you find out this was happening? You know, this is going to be an honor. You know, was it a surprise? Was it something that they sprung on you out of it?
Well, yes, it was a surprise. It really was, because it was, I just didn't expect it. And when Dr. Marble called me to let me know that the board had decided to bestow this honor on me, I mean, I was in South Texas. I was driving, almost fell off the road. When I heard that. It was very nice. Yeah.
So the honor, the recognition, the buildings go beyond lifetimes. They're here. They're part of Missouri Southern. And of course, you were a very big part of Missouri Southern for our viewers. 38-year career at Missouri Southern, 25 as president.
Yes, yes. It was an extended career, and you know, I never really, from the beginning, we never felt that we would be here that long. But you know, one thing led to another, and it just seems as if every time that we were ready to perhaps move and go somewhere else, something would happen that would force you to stay here. And because a new opportunity was presented, I was named dean, and then was interim president, and then president, and so it was.
Then when you look at the accomplishments, the things that happened while you were here at Missouri Southern, going from a college to a university, the numbers of facilities that were put up at the time, that there was a lot happening in that 25-year span, especially as president. You saw the campus facilities grow, but also the status of the university grow.
Yeah, it's great, and as I said earlier today, we have to recognize our legislators for the effort that they put in order to secure the funding for these capital projects. It's very important, and also to make sure that the mission of the institution remains true and in the minds of other legislators. So during the 1990s, we had tremendous support, and that's when, in the 1990s, is when many of these buildings came into being, simply because that was a time when the state was doing well economically. And our legislators, in spite of the fact that they were in the minority party at that time, you know, we still got our share thanks to their efforts to support us, and as a result of that, Missouri Southern grew and has these nice buildings.
And the building in which we're sitting as we record this program, Webster Hall, 1992.
Right.
So it was
Exactly.
a building that has met the needs throughout the year and continuing to grow and to expand. Well, some people might be curious, a lot of people in the community, what are you doing now? So let's go from the past to the present. So how do you answer that question when someone stops you on the street? What are you doing now?
What are we doing now?
We're resting. Well, we just got back from Texas. We live in Kansas City now. And over the past year, we have been in deep South Texas, you know, Brownsville, McAllen area, right on the border, right on the border with Mexico. I was working for the University of Texas system. They asked me to lead an effort to combine two existing universities from the University of Texas system, the University of Texas Brownsville and the University of Texas Edinburgh, combine them into a new entity, a new university that had been funded by the legislature. And so my task was to work with the two presidents and the faculties of those two institutions and get them to come together and create a new institution. So we did all the planning for that throughout the year. And also a medical school.
The medical school component with that.
Component with that. So now, as a matter of fact, in May, there was an appointment of the president for the new university and the founding dean for the medical school. So they're going to now be in charge of what we started in terms of planning and organizing, and going to be implementing many of those things as they seek accreditation for the new institution and for the new medical school.
So for that part of Texas, I
Yes.
imagine that is really a big step forward for them as well to have those facilities.
Yeah, it's very important.
And when you look at a statewide system seeking your assistance, that's an honor as well to be
when
asked
you
to
really
help.
think these two universities, one had 20,000 students, the other one had 12. And so combined, the new university is going to have 32,000 students to start with. And in spite of the fact that these two institutions have already a combined budget of about $600 million, the system is adding $300 million on top of that for new facilities and the new medical school and things like that. So it's going to be an impressive facility with all the modern technologies and the new approaches. So it was very exciting to be a part of that, but also very tiring.
A lot of meetings,
well, not only meetings, but you know, when you have two institutions, even though they are fairly close, you know, they just want to stay pretty much the way they were before.
It's hard to change resistance.
Exactly. It is hard to them to forget, take this hat and put a new one and look at things in a different way. But nonetheless, we accomplished a lot. And I think that the new president is going to be able to carry on from there.
Great.
But now it's time to rest for a while.
So time to say we've accomplished that.
Then we'll see what happens.
We retire again.
Right. Well, that's great. And I know, Mrs. Leon, you have been in love and involved in the arts throughout the years. A lot of people are probably curious as far as, you know, your continuing involvement or love for the arts.
Oh, I continue to do that. I think any place I go, I sort out the arts, and I want to know what's going on in the region and maybe stick my nose into it and help out and get involved. And I've continued to do that, and it has been very exciting for me.
So you still have that passion that arts are an important part of our lives.
Oh yes,
Sure.
yes, for sure.
All right. Well, and when you left the Joplin region, you left a legacy as well with the funding to help with the arts in this region.
Well, it is wonderful because, you know, I see the children nowadays with the budget cuts and all. It's hard for them to get what the arts has to offer fully, and I hope that there will be more funding for across the board for children in the arts.
So start them young, that love for the arts
Sure.
that we've talked about for many
Right.
years. Right.
Right.
Well, I know years ago when you had the international piano competition here, we covered those as part of the station.
Oh,
People might be
yeah.
curious, do you still keep in touch with some of those competitors, the people who won the competition in the arts?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I do with them, and also some of them, I would say, and some of the judges also. And it has been such a fantastic experience for myself because I got to meet people that I wouldn't otherwise ever have the opportunity to meet. So, yes, we keep in touch.
Right. And I imagine that, you know, just like we have students that go through the university, you see them as freshmen and succeed when they graduate. Do you see some of those people who were in the competitions as youngsters and now they're having successful careers or they're teaching, those types of
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. And they are, quite a few of them are now internationally very well known, travel all over the world to perform. And the judges do the same. They are still, you know, one of our past judges is in her late 70s, and she still actively perform. And I keep track of what they're doing.
Well, you mentioned international. I know Dr. Leon, the International Mission of Missouri Southern, instrumental in getting that started, looking at the Missouri Southern's role internationally and that mission continuing to be a goal of the university. Share some thoughts about that.
Well, you know, I believe that the last few years have proven that there are two major revolutions in this country and in the world, and one of them is technology and everything that technology makes possible for you today. Every job pretty much has been changed, right, because of technology. And so universities and colleges cannot afford to continue to teach in the same way and the same old program that we did in the 20th century, because the jobs of the 21st century have been affected and tremendously changed by technology. So you have to adapt and offer that technology, make it available to your students so that they'll be competitive. That's one of them. The other one is the fact that we have become more international or globally affected. We know that if there is a sneeze in China, it's going to affect us somehow.
Because of communication,
somewhat.
we know about it instantly.
Exactly, that's right, the technology again. So people, for instance, if you are unhappy about something and you tweet, right? People in China are going to know about it, right? If they're following you. And that's the way the world is today. So an international approach to education with heavy use of technology and applied technology is very important at universities and colleges today. Perhaps even more important than when we started the
When
international
we had that
mission.
initial mission beginning.
Right.
That's And you've touched through the international mission a lot of students' lives throughout the years, whether it's their opportunity to study abroad or bringing the international focus to the campus.
Sure, exactly, yes.
So the world is getting smaller.
Oh, much smaller.
Just amazing.
Tying all of that together. Well, you mentioned earlier the friends and supporters, people to be able to see. What about community support? Missouri Southern, throughout its history, has had a lot of community supporters. They obviously have had a sense of that through the last couple of months and through the presentation today. But do you see that when you come back to the community, that Joplin and the community are still tying together with Missouri Southern?
Oh, there's
Oh,
no
I think
question
so.
about it. And you can see it not only in the relationship of supporters to the university, but also the way this community has come together as a result of the tornado, and how the city has recovered and rebounded. It's just amazing how it has happened so quickly.
A lot of people, because of the tornado, when you say Joplin, they say that's the community with the tornado. Did you get that response when you told people you used to work in Joplin? And they say, oh, was that the place that had the
Well,
tornado?
Yes.
yeah, we do that you know, we were here that day, the day of the tornado. At that time I was interim president at Colorado State University in Pueblo, but we had come home for the weekend just
you
to
were
check
home
the
in
house.
Joplin that time.
So we were in Joplin that weekend when it happened, and we stayed a few days after that, that disaster. So we were able to see firsthand the devastation, and it's just incredible.
So you've had able to see what happened immediately afterwards, and then a few years later,
And
now
the
seeing
way
the
it is.
rebuilding.
Yes.
So coming back to town, you can
Amazing.
see the
Sure,
changes.
sure.
And tying of all that together. Let's talk about students. Obviously, university focus on students. Students face different challenges mentioned, whether it's technology, but how do you feel today's college students, you had 25 years as presidents, 38 years here. College students today, what are some of their keys to success? If you were to give an advice, to the incoming freshmen today, what does it take to succeed as a student?
Well, I think it's going to be very important for them to be in touch and to be in tune. And to be in touch is with the rest of the world. I mean, you just cannot afford to be self-contained, if you will. You have to expand your horizons and want to know about other places. You should want to experience how other people live, how they think, and what they do. That's why I think the international mission is very important if it's going to afford you an opportunity to travel abroad and experience how other people live, how other people think. That is tremendously important, and if you can do it even with the help of technology these days, it's just very important for young people. They are interconnected more than ever before, right?
They have in the palm of their hand that smartphone.
That is for sure.
Exactly, and when you really think about it, I mean, it wasn't very long ago that I think it was in one of the talk shows late at night, the host had as a guest a 13-year-old boy, 13-year-old boy from England, who had designed and built a nuclear fission, not fusion,
right.
fission, nuclear fission reactor. And the young man, the host asked him, how did you learn about this? Well, I learned it on the internet. And where did you get the materials to do this? Well, eBay. I mean, that's the way young people
that laptop, he was able to get everything.
So there is no question that the students come to us today with different expectations than the students that we received 15, 20 years ago. So we have to be prepared to take those types of attitudes and behaviors and expectations of the students and use that to our advantage. When I say our advantage, I mean to our advantage in ways of educating them, to be prepared for what they're still going to encounter, because I can assure you what these students are used to today is going to be different from what they're going to see just 5 or 10 years from now.
Things change so fast.
Changing so fast.
Right.
So
things
that
we
is
would
very
only have
important.
dreamt about years ago are now
Sure.
happening in that
Sure.
field and
Yeah.
education. Well, as you return to Joplin, people are curious as far as memories. Is there anything that stands out in your mind as far as Joplin, your tenure when you were here? So you'd like to share with the community? When you say Missouri Southern and Joplin, what's one of your favorite memories that might come up?
So many. With the piano competition, I think that the most heartwarming area of our project was that we were just getting in touch with so many people in the community that usually they didn't have a reason to be on campus because their children are not going to school here or they are not involved in any program here. But when we had the piano competition, they were on campus and they were getting
tie between community and campus.
Right, and they just took it to heart and housed them and the competitors, I mean, and the judges, and they did a lot on campus and got so much more involved with Missouri Southern for that reason. So that was very heartwarming. I like that.
They're supportive of your program.
Yeah.
Dr. Leon, you thought that you stand out?
Well, when I first became president, I remember on my first trip to the Capitol in Jefferson City, and I went and visited with Senator Webster. And here I was a freshman rookie president, in 1982, and I asked Senator Webster, at that time I said, Senator, when can you help us become a university? And this was 1982, and the senator just paused, thought a little bit, scratches his chin, and he said, Julio, we're going to have to be patient and wait a little bit for the right time when to do it. It will happen, but just give us some time to do that. Well, it didn't happen until 2003, of course, as you know, and but when that happened in 2003, that was one of the best moments that I can remember.
Big moment of pride.
It was beautiful memories. Any other memories are related to sports? So.
Well, I'd like to thank both of you for taking time while you're here. And as we close the program today, we have a video that was shown at the dinner I mentioned in April, talking about your career. I think for the community at large, they might be interested in seeing that, kind of reflecting on your career.
Sure.
And once again, thank you for being here and wishing you the best of luck in retirement, whatever comes in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So please stay tuned to enjoy the video as we look back at Dr. Leon's career at Missouri Southern.
Dr. Leon was president of Missouri Southern State University when I was hired 30 years ago. I see Dr. Leon as a man of vision. Being here so long and working with him, he was able to see things before the rest of us were able to see them.
Equitable funding was probably the thing that he was up there year after year after year on. He would bring out his graphs and charts, and he would show the budget committees and appropriation committees in every way fashionable that Missouri Southern was the bottom of the totem pole and needed additional funding. He would come into the budget committee meetings and they knew what he was there for. And he would roll out those graphs and charts, and you guessed it, he would ask for additional funding.
Dr. Leon always had a clear and defined vision for Missouri Southern, and he tried to keep the university ahead of the trends in higher education. And one of the early initiatives that I remember was when he implemented a comprehensive distance learning program that provided online and interactive television courses all across the state and then was marketed across the nation.
Some of us were wondering what he was doing, but he was so right. He implemented online teaching, and we were one of the first schools in the state to start an online program, and it has continued to grow.
I think Dr. Leon realized before other presidents that his students were going to go out in a global marketplace. He wanted to be able to give them every tool possible so that they could be successful while competing for some of those jobs.
I can remember that when he brought up the international mission, people were just like, yeah, that'll never happen. That'll never take off. You know, we're here in the middle of the United States. Why would we have an international mission? But, you know, that was the thing to do. It really was.
VIvian Leon is one of the most imaginative, creative, culturally attuned, and inspiring women I've ever known. I don't think I've ever known anyone who is as dedicated to excellence and as capable of carrying it out as VIvian Leon.
I got to know VIvian when the international piano competition began. I was working backstage, and I'm the technical director of the theater, and I was approached to go to a meeting with Mrs. Leon and several other people as she put forth this idea about an international piano competition. As it progressed, I got more and more excited because you couldn't keep from being excited if you were within 10 feet of Mrs. Leon. Her excitement was infective, and it just washed all over you because she so believed with all her heart that the International Piano Competition was something that Missouri Southern State University needed to do.
She brought the piano competition from essentially its very beginning to where it became one of the preeminent classical piano competitions internationally in the world.
You can't conceive of how much the piano competition was was like inside Mrs. Leon, of how much her life that she put into that.
Every one of them was always done with a level of excellence that made you just very proud to be a part of it.
It is just, it was one of the greatest experiences I've had was being able to work with her on the piano competition.
My most favorite memory of Dr. Leon is back in 2003. When I came in '84, we were Missouri Southern State College. Dr. Leon's vision was that he get us into the university status.
Probably his greatest achievement was taking Missouri Southern from a college to a university. This took several years to achieve. Dr. Leon was relentless in his pursuit of that, but he continued that pursuit, and with the help of Senator Nodler and others, he finally achieved the university status for Missouri Southern.
I remember the ceremony very well in Taylor Auditorium. On the stage, Governor Holden and Dr. Leon, among other dignitaries, were there, and they signed the bill into law, where that we were now Missouri Southern State University. I waited for Dr. Leon in the foyer to come from the stage after the ceremony so that I can congratulate him. When he made his way back through the audience, I never have seen Dr. Leon have a bigger smile on his face or look happier than he did at that moment. I shook his hand and I congratulated him, and he said, "We did it." And that's a memory I'll never forget. That was a big day in the life of Missouri Southern. We're now Missouri Southern State University.
I always knew that Dr. Leon cared for Missouri Southern immensely because he started many of his presentations with, "Let me tell you about my university."
Dr. Leon was a true visionary for Missouri Southern, and he should be very proud of the accomplishments that he achieved while serving as president for our school.